Shalom, family. It's good to see you all here. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Listen, the MAGA nuts are going around trying to look at posts, figure out who people are, contact their bosses if they feel the post is mocking the death of Charlie Kirk. And I don't know, they're on this spree of trying to force everybody to respect Charlie Kirk, which is absolutely impossible. You're not gonna get everybody to do anything. And, they're making a few of them are making the claim that they have figured out over 300 people and sent emails with that person's post to their bosses or to the company they work for, and, they're claiming 15 people got fired. That's not very much out of 300. And in all honesty, how do you know all of these bosses even like Charlie Kirk? I bet many of the bosses that didn't care for him, they're not gonna let their employees go. I bet you they won't. And number 2, why would you even care? Look, y'all, I remember many of our men, mainly men, and Breonna Taylor too. When these folks were gunned down unarmed, they were mocked, they made memes out of them. A lot of what they were saying about them were lies, but I think the one thing that disappointed me more than anyone else was our own people were jumping on the bandwagon and trashing Breonna Taylor. That woman didn't even see what was coming. And you had our people going on the rampage, making these videos talking about she was a drug queen pin. She had no such background. Breonna Taylor was never even arrested before. There were no drugs found in her home. But we had people talking about she was dating a drug dealer. Kenneth Walker was not a drug dealer. He worked for the US Postal Service. He was a mail carrier. That's the only thing I'm disappointed how some of our people will jump on the bandwagon just because some white person put some disparaging thing out there. It doesn't mean you have to pick it up and run with it. And unfortunately, in the case of Breonna Taylor, that happened. And it happened until it was outed that those cops made up that whole drug scenario. Then all of a sudden, everybody went silent. The people that had the loud mouth out here trashing her went silent. That was really disappointing. It's bad enough that these white supremacists drag our people every time they get killed. They never have a good thing to say. But the fact that they're demanding that everybody say positive things about Charlie Kirk is just a downright joke. But this is their expectation. They want the utmost respect while they never respect our fallen. Never. I have never seen one instance where they respected our fallen because they don't. And this is nothing new. This has been going on for centuries. If anything, they will dehumanize them, not only in life, but also in death. So, yesterday I showed you Black conservatives that were mourning Charlie Kirk and reprimanding people in our community for not showing what they felt enough emotion. And, how people feel about Charlie Kirk is a very individual thing. Now, for many people in our community, no, we didn't care for the disparaging things that he constantly said when he was at these college campuses. And we got the right to feel that way. I never in the entire time he was doing these college campus, I never heard him say one positive thing because he didn't. He didn't. 'Cause he didn't. He didn't. you know? And not to mention, think about it, y'all. Charlie Kirk is gonna get justice. They're not gonna let Tyler Robinson out of jail. He's gonna get justice. Breonna Taylor didn't get justice. Trayvon Martin didn't get justice. Sandra Bland, she didn't get no justice. Alton Sterling, Mike Brown, Tamir Rice. We got countless people that never ever got justice. Daniel Cameron made sure Breonna Taylor never got her day in court. So that's one thing Charlie Kirk will have. He's gonna have his day in court, and Tyler Robinson is gonna be sentenced. That's a way more than many of the fallen among our people. I'm just saying. So let's get into it, y'all. Yeah, Emmett Till too. Thank you, Angie. That's so true. Emmett Till. In fact, they laughed. I'm so glad you brought that up. When I was in junior high school, we were allowed to pick someone that, in history, Black History Month back then, and I picked Emmett Till. And I remember my mom and I went to the library because I didn't have a lot of information on him at home. So we went to the public library. They actually had the recording of the trial. So I checked that out along with a couple of books. So they were cassette tapes, and I had a cassette player. So I went home and I was listening to it. Oh my goodness. Y'all, it took everything I had to get through listening to them white folks in Mississippi during his trial. And I think the one that got under my skin was Carolyn Bryan's testimony. Y'all, when she was up on the stand, every word that came out of her mouth was N-word. This was Carolyn Bryan. So when she was testifying and they were asking, what happened when he entered the store? Well, the N-word did this, and then the N-word did that. This is how she was talking. And then the N-word said this, and then the N-word did that. That's how she was talking. And I'm sure if you go on YouTube, the whole trial is probably on YouTube. I just never looked for it. But I had the entire trial, and that's how she testified against a child on the stand in front of an all-white male jury, but that's how she testified. Then the N-word walked over to me, and then the N-word said this, and then he said that, and then the N-word grabbed me, and then that's how she gave her whole testimony. I was so shook because, I'm a child. I'm only 13 years old. And I'm listening to this in my bedroom, sitting on my bed. I got so rattled by it. I went down. My mother was downstairs. I went downstairs and I had to talk to my mom. And I remember she looked at me and she said, "Lisa, I understand. It was like that back then. They were allowed to, testify in court like that." And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my goodness, I just never heard so much N-word." When her husband got on the stand, he was N-wording all over the place, and so was her brother-in-law. I ain't never heard so much N-words in one court case in my whole life. But I was able to get through it, and then I wrote my report based on the case. I did real well. I got an A on it, but still, For a young child to hear that, it was very disturbing, but that was allowed back then in the '50s. That kind of testimony was allowed in court. So, we can rest assured there ain't gonna be nothing like that when it comes down to Charlie Kirk. When they go in and Tyler Robinson gets his court date, they gonna make Charlie Kirk out because 'cause they're trying to do it now. They are gonna try to make him seem like he's some type of martyr. They're trying to compare his works to Martin Luther King, and he didn't even like Martin Luther King, but they're trying to make that comparison. They're trying to make that parallel, and it is nothing similar to King and Kirk. There is no similarities whatsoever, but they're trying to make a martyr out of this man. They're trying real hard. So, let me go ahead and share my screen so you can hear some of these people that got fired and some of these people that are determined to get people fired because they're not showing enough respect online. And I'm like, how dare you demand somebody show respect, especially if it's a group of people that he was disparaging? No, it might have been that way at one point in time, but it's not like that. People are not going to do that anymore. Gone are the days where y'all get to trash us. And then when something happens to you, we got to show respect. You're not going to get that again. You're not getting that again. You're not going to ever get that again. All right. Let's see if I can. That's her. Here it is. And some of these people are talking like they are proud that they're doing this. Okay. And they act like they say these things as if they have never mocked our people, and they have made a damn life history of mocking our people, dead or alive. All right, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
I was just fired from my job. I was just fired from my job. I was just fired from my fucking job. I was just fired from my fucking job. Now I have nothing but this. I have nothing but this website. I have nothing anymore. I have nothing. I have nothing anymore. I have nothing anymore. I have nothing anymore. I have nothing anymore. Ah! 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 No!
Concerned men with cherry by uncanadiable inti
Fuck!
cherry.
Fuck!
Stein
Fuck!
Concerned men where is cherry? Inclangin men where is cherry?
Oh my god.
I made some stupid comments about Charlie Kirk on the day that he was shot. I said some things on Blue Sky and on Threads that I'm sorry, not sorry for, but I said them and I deleted them when it was requested that I do so by my employer. And then today on a weekend, I'm told that I am no longer employed at Microsoft. After 6 years building the diversity, equity, and inclusion department from scratch, I lose my job because one of you, some random person, reports my posts to my employer, goes out of their way to find out where I work and takes my job, takes my security away from me for a thought, for an opinion, and you talk about freedom of speech like you care about it, and you're just going to take my money, my life, my food off my plate because I don't like Charlie Kirk? That's not okay. It is not okay to target me because I felt joy that day. I can't help how I feel. I felt joy. That's me. That's what I believe. That's what I think of him. I can't help that. So I don't deserve a job?
Thousands of people have gone online celebrating the passing of Charlie Kirk, and many of them are now losing their jobs. Many of the people you've seen cheering on the passing of Charlie Kirk started with this man who just moments after Charlie Kirk was struck, right in front of him, was cheering on video that Charlie Kirk was hit. Then you have this woman who was a nurse going on TikTok celebrating the passing of Charlie Kirk, and now people have found out where she works and are talking to her employers. This man who wrote this entire statement here is actually in the military, and people have already alerted Pete Hegseth, who is essentially this man's boss, and will probably be trying to do something about it. You have another woman who is a 2nd and 3rd grade teacher's aide who was posting about that she wished she would have heard of another obituary talking about Donald Trump, but instead she would settle for Charlie Kirk. And this man, probably the most prominent person to be fired after their comments on Charlie Kirk, was Matthew Dowd, who was actually working at MSNBC and went on air saying some absolutely terrible things. But more and more of these videos are coming out, and more of these people are going to be losing their jobs.
Hi, my name is Quinn Pratt, and I like going around on the internet finding people making fun of Charlie Kirk's death, and I go and report them to their employers so they get fired. And we got 5 more. We have sent out over 300 emails to employers, and we have gotten now 15 confirmed fires. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Gabrielle from Illinois, you're fired. Lincoln from Utah, you're fired. Amanda, another Amanda from Wyoming, you've been terminated. Suck it. Shasta from Washington State, your ass is fired. And Curtis, again from Texas. What the hell, Texans? What the fuck? Curtis from Texas, you've also been terminated. You're welcome. Now, truth being told, I've probably lost about 50,000 followers throughout all social medias while I'm doing this, but I would rather have every single one of my accounts hit 0 before I give in to these people. So if you want to try and affect me or affect my income by unfollowing me, I don't care. I would much rather go back to a 9-to-5 job than let this kind of shit slide. And I know for a fact that over half of this country agrees with what I'm doing. So hopefully they start finding me pretty soon. So go ahead and do your whole mass unfollowing and everything like that, because again, I would rather see all my accounts hit 0 than letting you guys try and bully me into not doing this anymore. And if you agree with what I'm doing, please hit that follow button. Counteract their mass unfollowing of me.
So I lost my job. I got called into the office yesterday. I kind of felt like something was off, but they called me in the office yesterday, and after I finished like half through the work, and told me that they could either fire me or I could put a resignation in, but that would look better. But they fired me, or they're getting rid of me because of my TikTok and the book post. Somebody screenshot a lot of my TikToks and wrote a nasty letter, and in my Facebook screenshot those and mailed them to the office to my boss. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got up early this morning and started throwing stuff outside to sell it. People's come, $1 here, $1 there. I just don't know. I don't know what to do. I just know that this 2 years has been bad. It's been bad. I mean, just one thing after another. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's what I keep saying. I just don't know. It's not fair. I think it's unfair. That somebody would be that malicious to do that to me. I would never hurt anybody. Not like that. Not intentionally like that. But somebody did that, and I think it's somebody that works in the office. I mean, why? Why? I'm nice. I am a genuinely nice person. I'm nice to everybody. All I know is this 2 years has been super bad. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea.
All right, check this out. People are getting fired from their jobs because of their postings on social media celebrating the execution of Charlie Kirk. These people are getting fired. There's almost been 200 people fired already in a day. 2 wrongs never make a right. And a lot of you got people fired from their jobs for a whole lot less than this, like saying that there was only 2 genders. You got people fired for saying that men don't belong in women's bathrooms. You got people fired for saying that drag queens shouldn't read to children. You got people fired for saying children should never be transitioned. You also got people threatened with their lives. You also had people falsely accused and labeled as bigots for that. You also used the law as a weapon against people if they said, don't do this to kids, leave the kids alone. What we are seeing is accountability, free speech. I'm a free speech advocate, but I also know that my speech could have consequences. We're seeing people in the military losing it all. Like that was totally worth losing your entire career, your military pension, everything you've worked for. Holy crap. We're seeing first responders, firemen. You know what that tells me? You posting, celebrating the execution of Charlie Kirk as a fireman or firewoman. It tells me that if you see a Trump sign and there's a house burning and kids inside, you're going to potentially pass that up. You're absolutely not going to be able to push aside your political beliefs in order to save these. You're not going to treat people the same. That's what I'm saying. You have bias. I'm seeing medical professionals. Wow. Let them find out I'm a conservative content creator. And if you think I'm going to feel safe with you, with my kids or my life in your hands? No, absolutely not. Educators. We are seeing teachers, professors celebrating this. I'm over here like people entrusted you with their children to educate them. Absolutely failing these kids, not only by taking academia out of the public school system, but you're literally saying that you cannot be nonpartisan. You're telling me that you can't leave your politics at the door before you go to work. That's it. A member of the Secret fucking Service posted about this, celebrating Charlie's death. A member of the fucking Secret Service. Oh, you know what that tells me? That tells me we can't trust you. We can't trust you to protect our political leaders because you're partisan AF. And the whole crazy thing about this is Charlie Kirk wouldn't want these people fired. You know what Charlie Kirk would tell them? And I've spent years listening to this man, so I know I can say this with the utmost confidence. Charlie Kirk wouldn't want you fired. What Charlie Kirk would say is, hey, before you post that, you better make sure it's worth it. Because not only is the internet a very unforgiving place, but it is also forever. Please proofread this before you post it, because you could have some serious ramifications. Not only can you have ramifications of being fired from your job, but you can also have legal ramifications. I happen to think I try to be a better person. Charlie Kirk has made me sit and think, should I say this? Because if I say this is going to get me in a whole lot of trouble. See what these people do, that they're posting this shit? They don't have that ability to stop and think. This kid, that 22-year-old kid, Tyler Robinson, didn't have the ability to stop and think about the ramifications of his actions before he acted. People, we have to start thinking before we do shit. And that is exactly how Charlie Kirk wanted all of these kids that he spoke to. This is how, he didn't promote hate. He didn't go to colleges to spread hatred. Quite the opposite. That's how I feel about that. Now, I can say that you can save us a lot of time, because we're out here emailing and calling city officials and all kinds of city councilmen, city council women, school board members, teachers, first responders, Secret Service, military members. We are doing our due diligence here and turning these people into their employers. But the employers, could you give us a fucking break here? This is hours I spent reporting on people yesterday alone. Hours of my day. So employers, if I'm not mistaken, you grab up these employees of yours, their social medias, before you hire them, do you not? It is time for employers to start scouring social media of the people that work for them. Scour their social medias, and if they're posting in celebration of Charlie Kirk's execution, you need to be proactive and fire them. And what you should do is say, hey, guys, before this blows up and goes viral, I just want to say I took a step at myself and I fired this person because this is not right. And I'm not going to employ somebody who speaks so candidly and so openly and so publicly about celebrating this. It's madness, and we don't accept it, and it is not tolerated here. And that right there, I think, is how we fix this. We have to start holding ourselves accountable for our actions, and we have to stop for a moment and think, is this going to get me into a world of shit if I do this? And if so, don't fucking do it.
Growing calls to vacate his seat.
Can you understand why they are calling for you to step down and asking you to resign?
I understand why they're saying that, but that's not something that I'm going to do.
Village of Palmetto Bay Council member Steve Cody says he's not going anywhere after the mayor put out a statement Thursday calling for him to step down. Cody is under fire over a social media post he made about the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The councilman deleted his post, but he wrote, "Charlie Kirk is a fitting sacrifice to our lords, Smith and Wesson. Hallowed be their names." The comment was over a graphic of the activist's 2023 remarks that it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year for Second Amendment rights.
Why did you make the post?
It was ill thought out.
Cody made a new post Thursday titled, "I screwed up."
I regret because it was insensitive. I do think that there's a certain bit of irony in it, but it caused a lot of pain for people I know and people that I respect.
Several leaders and lawmakers are also weighing in on Cody's post and calling on him to resign. Cody says if he could go back, he'd do things differently.
I regret it, but the best I can do is to apologize to those who I've hurt and vow to go forward and behave differently from this point on.
Okay. Technically, they can't make him resign. I mean, he can stay. They could probably get him out in the next election, but he technically can just sit there if he want to. He's an elected official. So, y'all, I mean, what do you think? Is this taking it a bit too far? I think it's hypocritical too, 6'3" soldier, because these folks have always mocked our people's deaths. And the fact that they are demanding respect when they have showed nothing but disdain for the people in our community that have been harmed or even um, unalive. And they showed no regard to it whatsoever, you know? Ellie Brown, thank you so much for your super chat. New York Mayor Eric Adams fired longstanding community advocate because he posted the word karma. Oh, okay. Thank you for your support from my channel and my life totally. Thank you for the super chat. Sometimes I have to ask the Most High Yah to forgive me for negative thoughts towards Netanyahu. Well, that's not hard to have negative thoughts towards him, but thank you for your support for my channel. Yeah, they mock us all the time, all the time. And the thing is, they don't lose their jobs for it. They don't. Most of them do not lose their jobs for it. Mhm. So, y'all, it's gonna be big in the news until I think it'll start fizzling out once the funeral is over, and I heard they're trying to have the funeral in about a week, and it'll probably kick up again as it gets close to trial. It'll probably be a few years before they get to trial, but, I would imagine there'll probably be a lot of buzzing going on when the trial comes up, but y'all, this place has an endless pit of hypocrisy, and they always will have that. And we just got to understand, I have a problem. I guess if things were different in the grand scheme of things, showing respect would actually look different. But we have been disrespected all throughout history. So when you come to us talking about show respect, that's just unbelievable that you even got the balls to come and say that to us. Yeah, and many of you are culprits of mocking our people. And you're coming to us to say this. I mean, what a joke. So, y'all, this is the end of this live stream. I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I have another one coming up at 4:45, and this is going to be on Charlie Kirk's widow and the speech that she recently gave. I don't have the whole speech. I've seen it. It's 16 minutes long. I'm not going to show a 16-minute long speech, but I will show like a snippet of it and people's responses to what she said. A lot of people interpret it in many different ways. And you'll get a chance to see and hear all about it at 4:45. So hopefully I will see you all then. Please enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and shalom, family.